I got better at freestyling, started freestyling with my friends. All the other scribes and other MCs around were like, yo, you're really dope off the dome. Like, you're nice at freestyling. Freestyle with like Noodles and Chendo and some other dudes that were like local freestyle guys at the benches in Squirrel Hill all the time. We used to have there were these benches by the post office, and that's where everyone hung out pre-internet era. It was like the benches in Washington Square Park, and kids, everyone would just be sitting there smoking weed, skateboarding, tagging, and we'd freestyle. We also were like selling weed too, so it was like kind of like our like weed spot for Squirrel Hill. So like we'd bag up and stash the bags like behind the post office or whatever, and then kids from the suburbs would come and we'd pitch. Dudes would be pitching, you know what I mean, like all night long. One time we actually threw a show where we brought a live band made up of other students from our high school. These guys, you know, they could play drums and guitar, horn, whatever. And we brought them up to the benches and we played a live show at the benches for, again, it was like between 70 and 100 people, but, you know, it was fucking great. You know what I mean? Like, and we freestyled a lot there. Like, we were getting better and better and better. Started, obviously, you're white in a public high school and you rap. You're going to battle everybody. You're going to battle anyone who sees you at that point is going to be like, I'm battling you. So I started beating all them and beating all them badly, like trouncing them. I realized I was getting better. This guy Mo came from New York City. He's actually friends with Diabolic and that crew Double Negative, like Cole and Taboo, who I actually hooked up with later through Mo when I went to college in New York briefly at Hunter or whatever. Stayed cool with him. But Mo moved to Pittsburgh. And Mo was like he's from Long Island, but he was like a true underground hip hop B-boy, and he knew about all the underground, all the lyricist lounge era stuff that was happening. He was kind of like a real injection of culture into the scene, because here's a guy who was from basically New York City in the late 90s, who was 100% on underground hip hop time. He was a really good B-boy. And he was a real hustler. You know what I mean? Like, he was going to promote the shit out of shows with the energy of a New York guy. So now all of a sudden Mo's bringing underground acts, but like national level underground. He's bringing the guys off the Lyricist Lounge liner notes to Pittsburgh to do, 200 to 400 or 500 person shows, because they're very well attended, because people are really like, they're psyched to go to these events. So he sees us. We start becoming basically like his like flyer children. We're running around passing out flyers for him, getting free to everything, always with him, whatever, always freestyling. He sees we have a following and we can rap. So he starts giving us opening slots at his shows. And he's booking dope venues like Club Laga when it was open in Oakland. Like, now we're starting to play out. So we're starting to get a little bit better. Not good yet, but we're getting way better, getting more proficient. And Mo is a big fan of throwing battles. B-boy battles, graffiti battles, DJ battles, but most importantly, MC battles, because they bring people. They draw people. You put up a little prize. Really, the prize is the prestige. You film it with the clunky camera, whatever, who has bragging rights for the city. Noodles had it for at least a year and a half or whatever. My senior year of high school, I was 18 years old. We were like going up hard against Noodles then. It was like hip hop rivalry, like butting heads or whatever. I was like, I will do this battle. I think that I'm the best. I mean, I wanted it. And I was like, I'm the best positioned to try and win this battle. At this point, undergroundhiphop.com and Real Player were starting to give us audio of like actual free, the rock steady shit. Like, we were starting to hear about some of these bigger national level freestyle battles. We'd only heard word of mouth. Like, we heard this dude Eminem was like fucking this white dude from Detroit, was vicious freestyle battler. We heard about Supernatural. He was an incredible freestyle battler. We heard about Juice, and we heard about Idea, this little white dude who was like basically our age, maybe a year or two older than us, from Minneapolis. They said he was like the prodigy. Like, he was like unstoppable. Like, he just could trounce anybody off the head, whatever. I remember I was sitting in math class and someone came in. I think it was Scooter, because he was a graffiti writer. Scooter actually was really instrumental in getting us down with a lot of shit, because he went to Woodward, which was a skate camp in PA. And so skaters from across the country would go there. So he was with skaters from like LA, New York, Miami, Minnesota. So you can imagine like how cool these kids were in terms of like trading of culture, fashion, style, music, whatever. So Scooter came back and he had all the headshots tapes from Minneapolis, like the absolute OG. I wonder if he still has those OG old school headshots tapes. He met a kid from Minneapolis who was a street skater from the city, and they traded tapes because it's the 90s. And they told him about rhyme sayers and idea and slug and dino spectrum and like all this other stuff that was going on. So we had a framework. Then Scooter comes in with a magazine, a Scribble magazine, graffiti magazine. So we love graffiti magazines. They're like our pornography. We're sitting in math class like, ooh, ah, ooh. But it gets to the back and they're talking about the Scribble Jam MC battle. And this is just this is a pictorial, like blurry photographs of, guys like, live action battling again. But, for us, a big underground crowd, whatever. And the way they're narrating this, they're like, these are like the top dudes. You know what I mean? I forget who was in it. That might have been the first year Idea won. That might have been the year Idea won or whatever. And I think like 2 years before was Eminem. But they're talking about all this in the little page paragraphy write-up. So now we know about this. This has entered into our consciousness that there's like these huge battles that happen out of town. And if we want to get better or just be around that culture, we got to go to these because this is where everyone is like that's where we're going to find more people like us, what we're on, who we are. So all this is happening at once. Locally, I decided to do this battle. I mean, it's not like the official, like a sanctioned league or whatever. It's not the official battle for who's the best freestyle battler in Pittsburgh in 1999 or 2000, but it kind of was because that's what it was. It was in a club in the Strip called Elements, I think. Go down there. There was drama because not just between us and Noodles, like Noodles was like the villain or whatever. I mean, he might see it differently, but at that time it was like, he was so good too. You know what I mean? Like, and he was at that point, he's like, fuck y'all, da da da. Like, we were like, we got to get this guy. We got to win, man. Science, Brandon B. He was a really, really talented MC. Probably naturally the best one of us in terms of like putting in like not as much effort, but just having perfect flow and like crazy concepts or whatever. He was not a great freestyler. That was not his forte. He could, but he was not like exceptional off the dome for long periods of time. That just wasn't what he was good at. For whatever reason, he signs up and puts himself in the battle. So I'm just like, bro, like, what the fuck are you doing? Yeah, like, why would you do that? But sure enough, I'm thinking about it and I'm like, never wrote anything down. But you can have some thoughts about your friends. Some stuff they do that gets on your fucking nerves. I mean, God knows, we knew each other really well. We were like brothers. We slept over each other's cribs all the time, wake each other up in the morning. Get up, bitch, what's up? Put your fucking clothes on, let's go. You know what I mean? So I knew him well. Let's say it would be like one of those like written battles. I had ample material for us. So it comes to that thing, 8 Mile scenario, little smokehouse club, completely packed out. There's videotape of this or whatever. Me and him, of course, they match. Mo is Mo. Mo's a consummate showman and performer. He matches Brandon and I up in the first round because he's like, this is great. This is, I was like, oh, brother against brother. Again, pre-internet, this was high drama. Everyone's like, we battle each other or whatever, and I fucking torch him because I can freestyle and he can't. He had a couple punchlines about me, but that was it though. He just tumbled after that, whereas I could actually freestyle. So like, it got a little personal. Not gonna lie. Next battle for me was Noodles. Back then, anything that was filmed was basically like a prelim for Scribble because Scribble did not have official prelims back then. What you had to do was you would make a fucking burn CD or a straight up videotape and you would mail it to Formless Kevin Beecham, who was like the true day-to-day organizer of Scribble. And he would review you and he'd pick, because they were always smart at Scribble. They knew they couldn't only have established rappers, like established underground rappers. They would have some stars. Like they would try and get like Juice to come back. I mean, shit, if Eminem would have come back, they would have taken him in a heartbeat. They wanted some big names, some big draws. They wanted the champions or guys who had done well in previous years to compete. They wanted to have some rivalries in the mix or whatever. But they also always wanted about half of the roster to be complete unknowns, like people who had never competed before. because that's how you get new people and perpetuates. They were actually very forward thinking in that sense, because a lot of hip hop dudes, a lot of promoters, they would be straight gatekeepers and they would only either let their friends in, or they'd be like, well, we just fill this with 16 or 32 of like the biggest name MCs or whatever. But they realized that would be stagnating. So they always made room. And that's what the prelims were for. Once it became so tight that there were so many people trying to get in, they did the prelim structure because they were like, all right, the unknowns are going to battle at the prelim, and then the best of them, they get into the battle because, it's new people. It gets you in new fan engagement. So I battle Noodles and I beat Noodles, which was like a huge upset, very 8 Mile-ish. I remember mad people lost money on that shit. There were like a lot of like drug dealers in the crowd and adjacent to the hip hop scene at that point. And they were wagering at the time was big money. Whatever, everyone thought Noodles was going to win. I did. I won. I won convincingly. So I was, basically like, carried away on the hand on the hands of the crowd or whatever. I graduated. I won another battle right before I went away to college. And then I started competing in any battle I could get into, like in New York City, wherever. I was going up to Boston, anything I could do. I was competing. I was assembling a video record by summer of '02. I had enough, I thought. I mailed it into Kevin Beecham. And he was like, I'm going to give you a spot. I think there weren't a lot of people in the back. I think there were like 16 people like in the whole thing. So I was like, I'm from Pittsburgh. I think I was on Manifest Music back then. It was my label. I had like one album out maybe. But I was like, here's my record of, lower level, but pretty impressive freestyle wins. And he peeped it and he hit me back. He's like, I like your energy. He's like, I like the punchlines or whatever. He's like, yeah, let's get you in there. And that was that.